search engines want you to be running for your ideal audience. And if you are, then you are naturally using the terms that they use. You are naturally using the keywords that they're using to look for you. Hey, you're listening to Content About Content, the podcast designed to make you feel more confident and content about your content marketing and content creation activities. I'm your host, Jen Robson. I'm the founding director of Engage Agency. It's a content agency based here in rainy and miserable Newcastle, New South Wales. Hopefully the rain will go away soon. So let's get right in, shall we? Today we are answering the question, does SEO, search engine optimization, does it matter? So yes, and no. Once upon a time, at the beginning of the internet, unless people knew your business, you were impossible to find. No one ever heard of you, then there was no point in having an internet presence because how would you be found? Then we had the search engines of the world start popping up and start delivering those pages to us and delivering those sites. So we knew and we were able to find things. And that was obviously the most important part of the internet's history beyond the creation of it. So SEO, around 2000, 2001, early 2000s, right up to, about 2010, 2012, it was really the only thing that you really needed to be invested in. Well, not the only thing, but it was a key thing you needed to be investing in if you wanted people to find you. Then late 2000s, we started to get social appearing. Facebook came up, we had MySpace, but, let's not talk about MySpace. We had a whole bunch of different things coming up and going away and sitting around. And there was like My School Friends for a while. I don't know if that was what it was called. But now those social media channels are deeply ingrained in almost everyone's lives, everyday lives. So not everyone is hitting up Google every day. They are hitting up their social channels every day though, the majority of people around the world. And that's where you get a lot of new opportunities to get in front of people that you wouldn't otherwise do. So yes, you can have a business without search engine optimization. You can have a website without SEO activities, and you can build that out based on your social, making sure that you get traffic through your social channels, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it is. That is a key strategy for a lot of businesses these days. It's not a problematic one, so long as you do it right. Obviously, there is still optimization required in social. You do need to make sure you're hitting the right keywords, the right posting time, the right posting days, the right music, the right messages, getting in front of the right people in all the ways that you can with the right captions, etc. That's not what we're talking about today, but there's a whole lot there to get into. But if it's right for you to invest in the social side of things and avoid and ignore SEO, well, you're a pretty niche business, really. You have to really think about how people find you. How are they looking for you? How are they connecting with you? How are they searching for the products or services that you sell? Or are they not searching at all? Do they only buy based on impulse? Is your business the equivalent of a chocolate bar at a checkout? Or are they only buying based on referrals and recommendations? Are they interested in the actual content that you produce that over time then gets them more interested in what your products and services can do for them? What is it that is capturing their eyes? Or is it that you're something a little bit more niche or a little bit more expensive or a little bit more involved, a little bit more specific that they actually are going to search for? You can spend a lot of time and money investing in your social to get the right traffic and the right audience in front of you and to get them to pay attention to you. You can spend a ridiculous amount of money on advertising to get in front of the right people at the right time. And all of that is great, but the good thing about SEO is that it's always on. You don't need to be running a campaign. You don't need to be actively posting every day. When you've done SEO right, then it's sitting there on Google coming up on the right terms to guide the people who are actively looking for what you do, what you sell at the time that suits them. And so that's a really important component of the majority of online businesses today, or any business, online or offline, that has an online presence. So yes, I'm going to say for like 98% of businesses out there, SEO is vital. And yes, you should be investing in SEO, particularly this year as we head into most likely recession and we get the cost of living rising all around the world. Everyone's struggling more and more to pay for things. I'm not sure what it's like in other areas, but here it's potatoes are the big thing. You can't get potatoes right now. A few months ago, you couldn't get lettuce. And everything is costing more and more in response. We've got more and more expenses to deal with on the everyday, and things are getting more expensive. Our incomes are not going up. We've also just got this recession looming over us, so people are paying a lot more attention to the money that they're spending, and they're being more careful about their options. And so they're less likely to invest in this last minute decision, this impulse purchase. They're less likely to respond to your ads as we head into this more difficult time. And they're less likely to follow you and convert from social. They might still follow you because they're interested and they want it, but they need to have that push, that stronger push to convert, a good reason to, rather than just because it looks good or seems good or whatever. And so you need to be focusing on your audience who is primed to buy, or in a position that they will eventually be primed to buy, and focus on building that over the next year in particular. This year is going to be difficult for a lot of businesses around everywhere. So what does SEO look like for your business? Well, it differs for every business. The big businesses, they will have an SEO agency or an in-house SEO team on board, looking at SEO and keyword optimization and on-page content refinements, back-end SEO technical updates every single day. For the medium-sized business and smaller businesses, that's just not feasible. That's an expensive endeavor, but it's still important to be investing into it. And so where do you start? There's a whole bunch of places to start. The first thing to do is just hit the back end of your website, check out what Google says about your website. When I say Google, I mean head into your Google Analytics. Make sure your site is optimized. Make sure it's optimized for mobile. Make sure it's fast loading and it's not slowing down and it's got images taking forever to get up on screen. I know that's something that our website had an issue with. We couldn't get around it recently. I think we might have finally nailed it. But that's something that is incredibly important, because if your site is not performing optimally, if it is not displaying correctly and quickly to audiences, not only will the audience not pay attention, but Google will say, well, you're not optimized. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to make our audience suffer by going to your website. So I'm going to direct them somewhere else instead. So that's the important place to start. And that's not your content. It might be image optimization in terms of sizing, but it's not your actual content, that technical piece. But then you do want to get into the technical piece of things. And when you do get into the technical piece, what I always say to people, and I think it's the most important thing to think about when you are looking at SEO, is that if you are writing for your audience, then you are writing for search engines. It's not the old way anymore where you have to stuff in keywords and hope that the engines will realize what you're talking about. No, these days, search engines want you to be writing for your ideal audience. And if you are, then you are naturally using the terms that they use. You are naturally using the keywords that they're using to look for you. You are naturally speaking to them in a way that is natural to them and Google recognizes is natural. Google and all the others. When I say Google, I mean all search engines, because they all work in fairly similar ways. But that's what they're looking for. They're looking for you talking to your audience and serving them with relevant information and relevant links, relevant pieces. And they want to know that you're experts in your field. So if you have a post one day about tractors and a post the next day about chocolate, then they're going to be a bit confused about, what's what and what's going on. That can happen in a big business. Obviously, I think you'll probably find eBay has tractor parts and also chocolate for sale. But what I'm talking about here is the average business, you wouldn't jump from topic to topic. You won't link a page about chocolate to about tractors. It's just not relevant. So you want to be thinking about what's relevant to your customer at each stage. What's relevant in terms of what they're looking for, what they're wanting to read about. What stage of the buyer journey are they at? Are they just considering a purchase in this area? Are they learning more about it? Are they at the conversion stage? Are they still, awareness stage? What stage are they? That's where you want to be looking at, and ensuring that not only your content on page talks to that, but that your links, where you link to, who you link to, whether internal or external, is relevant to that stage and that audience as well. So that's where you start. And if you don't know your audience, you can't do that. So maybe that's where you start actually. Start knowing who it is that you're talking to and why. Big rule of thumb, everyone is not your audience. So once you've got that sorted and you know that you are talking to your audience, that's when you can hit up the tools. You can hit up the keyword research, you can hit up element research and find related terms and things to build out the content. You can start looking at other optimization tools to make sure that you're hitting the right thing at the right time. Tools like SEMrush or Ubersuggest or BuzzSumo and other things like that that really will help you identify what it is that you should be talking about and what words you should be using for those audiences. And some of them even now have the smarts to tell you what the user intent is around those words, whether it is consideration awareness or conversion. So that's important things to consider once you've worked out if you're talking to your audience and which stages you are talking to your audience in. So yes, that's where we should be looking at for the year ahead. We should be thinking about how we should be reaching people. In previous years, I have said, look, think about where your audience is coming from. Think about where your audience is hanging out and think about how your audience is getting to you. And then after all of that, make a decision on whether or not to invest in SEO. That has been my position for a long, long while. I am moving that position as we head into this more difficult year to say that, SEO, that's going to be more important in the next year, maybe the next 2 or 3 years for all businesses, regardless of how people normally find them, because you are going to be wanting to hit up those higher intent people because spending is going to be lower and decision making is going to be much more involved. So yes, to answer the question, SEO is vital today. It's not irrelevant. It is still very much a living, breathing thing. It is changing all the time. You might hit, placing 3 today, and then in 2 weeks, there's an algorithm change that really hits your site and sends you back to placing 30. That's going to happen. Probably not that quickly, but it will happen if you're not sticking up with the latest rules and just hitting with the basics of SEO. They don't change too much over time. So yes, it's worth investing in. And yes, you can do it yourself. I will probably drop by soon with some hints and tips for how to optimize your content. I won't go into that today. I do want to keep this nice and short today. But yeah, if you have any questions about how to optimize or whether or not it's right for your website to be really investing a lot more in search, whether there are issues with your site, do hit us up and we'll let you know. Might not let you know exactly what the issues are because it does take some time, but go back and listen to our episode about audit and find out a lot more in there about the kind of things you're looking for to make sure that you are optimized and working well. So I think that's all for today. Do drop by with any comments, questions you have. You can hit us up on our website. We've got the details on the podcast listing, I believe. Hit it, leave a review. Let us know what you think. Love to hear from you. If you found this useful or interesting, please do share it. Please do hit that follow button and come back, and we'll see you next week. Bye.